Angels of heaven, let's all sing.
Up my way,
Up to heaven,
up my way.
up to Father.
His righteousness,
My only Father,
His great name,
shall never see.
I'm on the way,
Come, Father,
guide me, Lord, to my home. Up my way,
up to heaven,
up my way.
up to Father.
His righteousness,
My only Father,
His great name,
shall never see.
I'm on the way,
Come, Father.
Good morning and welcome to Knowing Your Family History Educational Talk Show, and I want to thank you for joining us this morning. We're going to have one exciting hour learning so much about our genealogy in many forms, health-wise, and also we're going to talk about Africa. I have a very, very special guest joining me this morning from Honduras. I have Dr. Sebi, an herbal pathologist, and I want to take this time to welcome my very special guest. It is an honor and a pleasure to have you here this morning.
It is my pleasure to be here
Yes,
this morning with such a
yes.
wonderful person like yourself.
Well, thank you. Dr. Sebi, you was just at the Ashe Center. Share that moment with us, and what was that visit, and why New Orleans?
You know, it is strange that everything is always in divine order. It is strange, that's the way it should be. When I first left Honduras as a young man, 20 years of age, I came to New Orleans, 1953. New Orleans was exciting to me. All this activity, it resembled my hometown. It was easy for me to assimilate. New Orleans meant so much to me beside having the happiness and the friendship. I was married here for the first time to a daughter of New Orleans. And New Orleans represent my genesis. Mm-hmm. In fact, New Orleans was where I made statements that I didn't know that I one day would fulfill that statement. I was in Tim Barber Shop on Claiborne Avenue, and I made a statement of barber chair that one day I was going to do something for the black woman of America. He said, and why are you saying that? We're doing something now. I said, no, we're not. I said, we are her enemy. I said, look at this magazine, Ebony Magazine. I'm reading in this Ebony Magazine where this young man named Alcice from Algiers were talking to these 100 women and telling them what to do. I said, he's crazy. He should be listening to them. He came out of a woman. So how could he tell a woman what to do? That's kind of strange, I said. But one day, I will be putting together an organization of women, and they're going to do things above all else. And they would not be worshiping me, because I don't need to be worshiped as stress. I came out of a woman. I need to be listening to them. So yes, Tim, I'm going to do something. The something I talk about turned out to be healing. And I'm happy because that statement was made in 1960. This is the year 2003. It took me 43 years to accomplish this thing, this goal, this pursuit. But it was accomplished. Yes, the women that were prepared by me by God and my ancestors, I have to put my ancestors in first, not above God, but they are part of God. Mm-hmm. And in putting them in the same vernacular as God, I learned from them via Hippocrates, via the history of Galeno, that the herbs are for the healing of the nations. So I put these compounds together, and I began to perfect them over the years. It's been now 32 years. And I have turned over the operation to these women. Tatanisha, number one. Then there's Marie. Then there's my two daughters in Florida. They make the compounds. They're very astute. Viwai. And then you have Matum and Ma'a. These women now are qualified to heal any disease in the world. You think, I don't feel good? New Orleans represents that to me. So when I came, when I was invited by Camille Nilata, my sister, also a native of New Orleans, a daughter of New Orleans. She said, how would you like to come to New Orleans? I was afraid at first because I remember the diet. I said it's going to be difficult for New Orleans or Louisiana to change that diet because it is so rich, so delicious, so part of us that health now has to be put aside for a food. She said, no, 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 you come on. And when I came to New Orleans, naturally, I came here with my wife, who is from Trinidad. And the first thing she said when she walked off the plane, stepped off the plane, I want to live here. I said, well, you came to that conclusion so fast. She said, because I feel the heat. And she come from Trinidad. She feel the heat. It's a custom. So
it feels good to her body.
It felt very good to her body. And heat is what we need. So the lecture day came, and I saw all these people. I expected about 12. About 200 came.
Very good.
And I was amazed. I was really stunned. But then again, as I remember New Orleans, when I was in my 20, I was early in my 20th year. I was about 20 to 30, I lived there. I also joined the Islamic world. I was a Muslim under Elijah Muhammad. Right here in New Orleans I joined. And I was happy in Islam. The brotherhood is what kept me happy, not so much their religion itself. Because I knew that the history of Islam was not one that was so favorable in favor of black people. Because there was something that took place with the Muslims and us. They came into Africa and did what they did. But I enjoyed the brotherhood. Brother Donald, the Evans family, Mr. Harry Nance, and many, many, many others. I enjoyed that brotherhood. In fact, I remember them coming to me when I didn't have anything to eat with a sheep head and some rice. At least I had a sheep head soup and some rice. But the brothers were looking after me. So that night that I was talking to the audience, delivering the message I delivered were not the message I want to give that I arranged in my skull or my head. What came out was something altogether different. What came out from me to the audience was what the audience requested of me to give you. Yes, it was beautiful. I learned more than they did, because I learned more from them that night.
Let's talk about the African diet, the foods that we are eating. And also there's another major topic going on in our community, AIDS, which is really growing. I mean, it's really growing. Any young person between the age of, now you can say 16 to maybe in their 60s, AIDS are really growing. So we have problems in our community. What is it, Dr. Sebi, that you do to heal people that has contacted AIDS virus? Unlike the doctors.
We should talk about what I do, and then we should talk about, if I do, why it has not been spread over a larger spectrum, a larger platform. If I'm doing this, I've been doing this since 1988. Okay, what happened is this. When we were removed from Africa, we lost all connection and all ties. The brothers and sisters that were brought here from Africa, they were not slaves. They could not be made slaves.
Right.
Slaves came about 60 years later. The children of those people were beginning to be the slaves. They were the one that was taken away, as we know the history. In losing all of the tie with Africa, we lost everything. Our health, our understanding, our perception. Many times we say to each other, oh, he thinks white. Oh, he's more white. But he is white. He has to be white. We've been trained by white. I'm talking in a white man language now. We cannot beat each other up because of that. That is a reality. And then we should ask the other question, why did the white man did that? Why did God allow him to do that? It was in place. Everything is in divine order. Not bad, not good. It's in divine order. So out of that divine order, I learned to go back, train my eyes to the forests of Africa, not to philosophy, not to religion.
Because everything was in the forest. Everything.
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 The only people on the planet that lived a perpetual vacation was an African. He didn't punch any clocks. He didn't go to any schools. He didn't have any doctors. He didn't have a supermarket. So, yes, everything was in the forest. Now we are educated and we have master's and doctorate degree, but we have to punch a clock.
Yes. I have a video clipping that I want to surprise you with.
Okay. But, yes, okay.
Can we pull the video clipping up of Dr. Sebi in Honduras?
So we're going to go and take a little walk to show the thermal waters. These are the thermal waters. These waters come out of the ground at the temperature of 210 degrees Fahrenheit. Sometime above boiling point, sometime a little below, which, 212 is the boiling point. But this water has known to cure instantly nerve condition, nerve problem. We have carposis sarcoma. In the case of AIDS, people come here with these vicious sores, as they're called, carposis sarcoma. And in 4 days, those sores disappear. This is crystal clear. Make no mistake that in the United States there are parts there are health centers that offers what they call hot springs. Now, we don't offer any hot springs here. Hot springs only means that water is flowing over a hotbed, but it does not contain the minerals that you find in a thermal spring that is the result of volcanic activity. Well, here in Central America, we have over 50 volcanoes, and we sit in the middle of them. So naturally, we're going to receive the benefit of such presence of the volcanoes. So here we have the result, the thermal waters that the USHA Research Institute has to offer. Here is a plant in front of us that is known in Central America by the Spanish-speaking Indians. They call them sauco. Sauco is a plant that in the berries we find that the mineral of iron is found. Iron phosphate is found in these berries, and these berries are responsible for us reversing a lot of diseases that sits in the blood. It contains iron phosphate. This plant, the sauco, when it sends its roots into the ground, it converts that oxide mineral into a liquid digestible substance the process is known as iontrophoresis, or the conversion from a solid to a liquid. And here Mother Nature has converted iron, which is solid, into a berry for you to enjoy.
So, Dr. Sebi, we're talking about electrifying plants that has everything to do with our very existence.
Exactly. And only the Africans are affording that. Not the Africans in Africa, but the African soil and the African understanding. We have to know that the human body, or we should know that the human body is electrical. How could you feed an electric body dead food or oxide food? It doesn't work, because the body only assimilates things through the process of what? Chemical affinity. Chemical affinity is an electrical transfer. So we have to eat electric food. And the food that God made, they are all electrical and free of starch. Anything that has starch and glucose, man-made. What are those things? Everything you find in the supermarket. So now, the question should be asked, Dr. Sebi, you're curing AIDS. Why not the physicians? Well, the physicians are using what? Chemicals. We are using God's product. The herbs are for the healing of the nations. But the other thing that we should be concerned with more than that is this one. Dr. Sebi, how long have you been curing AIDS? 1988. Just the year 2003. How many years has that been? 22. Why is it that this information, being an information that the world need, not only the black race in America, the world need this information. The Supreme Court of New York would testify in their record, they would show that yes, Dr. Sebi cured AIDS. But Dr. Sebi made his biggest mistake. He went to all the religious leaders in the United States. He went to some of the medical centers such as Mahari Medical School. They gave him the vote. I went to Detroit to let Dr. Whitten knows there is cure for sickle cell anemia. He gave me the vote. What I was able to see is that the leadership of America, the black leadership of America, has never been, and they are not interested in the health of the black people of America. If they were, they would be supporting this entity, which is an entity that have showed equity in 22 years, and you're going to deny that? Then what are you about?
Dr. Sebi, we was talking earlier, and we was talking about the knowledge base. A lot of people can't understand what they have not been taught and what they have been disconnected from. When stolen sold into America, we was disconnected from our very existence. What is the existence? The foods that we eat, the language that we speak, the religion that come with us by the Creator. All of these things, when we speak of reparation, is being repaired, things that money cannot buy. What is that? To go back, like you said, and eat the foods that your mother prepared for you. To know these things, to know what your family ate, to know how your family lived. Can that ever be repaired? So when we talk about not knowing, and you said the black leadership in America
Are responsible.
are responsible.
Yes, they are.
Many of them have been miseducated themselves, and some of them that have knowledge to be able to help change and cultivate the very institute may be afraid.
Well, if they have been miseducated, I have been miseducated, you have been miseducated.
Yes.
But once we hear truth, we recognize truth. So they should get out the way. If they are afraid, they should get out the way. Mm-hmm. So what's happening here, what we see, is that the black woman, the African black woman or the African woman has compromised herself to the black man. That was never supposed to be.
Over and over again.
Over and over
Over
again.
again.
Because, see, I know for a fact that the black woman, our mother, is the base of our existence.
Yes.
Because over the years, in training people, I find that the women were more astute. In fact, after training them, they was teaching me things that I didn't know about. My mother was one. I made a salve for arthritis. And she said, have you ever used this on the sexual organ of males? I said, why? Because look what it did to my toes. It made my toes pink. Most men are suffering with impotence due to the food that they're eating. Do you know I started recommending it and it works?
Yes.
So I learned. So what we're seeing here, that the leadership of America has not been introduced. The black woman of America could be the only leader. She has to be, because she's the one that we came out of her, and then she taught us the first word. We suck her breast milk. Then she let us go. We are mama's boy. I'm a mama's boy. My mom is still alive. She's 90. I'm 70. I'm a mama's boy. Whose boy would I be? But
And
her.
proud to be.
Proud to be.
The very first teacher.
I didn't turn out to be too bad.
That's right.
And I'm an example as to what our ancestors could produce, because you're looking at a man that didn't go to school. And I know many people that have these doctorate degrees. I'm not impressed.
That is wisdom.
I'm impressed with your production,
Yes.
not your education.
Yes.
What do you do?
Yes.
So right now,
But in America, it's just vice versa. People are impressed with people's education and the alphabets and not the wisdom and not the production of that person. That's
Again.
what I find.
again, yes, you're right. Of course you're right. But that's part of the conditioning. We are like the Pavlovian dog. You know, when I went to Russia, what I found out? We talk about conditioning reflexes. We talk about the Pavlovian Institution of Psychology. Guess what? Nothing in the world condition of an individual more than glucose. Not words. You could talk to a person day to night, doesn't mean anything. You put glucose in their mouth, you got them. You got them forever. Glucose is the conditioning factor. That is the stimuli. That puts one into a state of suspension. You disconnect with yourself. Sugar will make you disconnect from yourself because sugar is a deadly poison. Sugar, garlic, and peppermint, those three should be avoided. Don't forget the starch. These things are designed to offend the human body. And when once has been disconnected, one is vulnerable. Because when I asked the question in the Supreme Court, Your Honor, I would like to ask just 3 simple questions.
And what was those questions?
Those questions were, Your Honor, the Bible shows us that the herbs are for the healing of the nations in the book of Ezekiel, the book of Revelation, the book of Exodus, the book of a whole Numbers. The herb, the herb, the herb. God said the herbs are for the healing of the nations. But since it seems as if, though, Your Honor, we have forgot God, what about Hippocrates? Your Honor, Hippocrates, was he given the credit as being the father of medicine? The judge said yes. Did he use herbs or chemicals? The judge said herbs. I say, Your Honor, but today I'm being prosecuted because I'm an herbalist and I'm following the tradition of my fathers.
Yes.
Your Honor, last question.
Yes.
When you removed the Africans from Africa, did you bring his food with him? The judge said no. Well, how could the FDA interfere with the product that I'm producing that is consistent with our genetical structure? Since they did not bring our food with us, the FDA is not in the position to make a determination, such as the one that they're making, depriving me of practicing the use of these compounds. The judge said to the physicians, she asked, Dr. Victor Herbert, Dr. Bonanno, and Dr. Christopher, this man just asked these questions. Why are you violating and you're not being prosecuted? He is in compliance and he's being prosecuted. They did not answer. We are in the position right now, sisters, to put up the greatest institution in the world. When you travel the United States, you see Chinese medicine.
Yes.
You see Indian medicine, the Ayurvedic. But what about my mama? My mama need representation. And I know that the so-called political leaders and the community activists, they're not going to do these things. I had to do it. I'm going to give my mama not only representation, I'm going to give my mama the greatest representation. Because nobody's curing AIDS but my mama. That's right. Our mother. Never to compromise her. I'm an African forever.
Exactly. And I'm so happy to hear you said you're African forever, because here in America, we have February, the Black History Month, where we have bought into the concept, let's try to squeeze all the history that comes with us from the beginning of time to the book of Genesis into, and we don't go back that far. We stop at Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Martin Luther King. We stop right there. We don't go beyond that. But when you are an African, 365 days a year, my diet, everything should be catered to my natural being and my human existence, not my civil right, my human existence upon the face of this earth, which I have been disconnected from.
I agree. This is why I felt so encouraged by going to the country of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe gave me pride. Yeah, there are certain things in Zimbabwe that need to be treated.
All over the world.
All over the world. But then we are the children of Africa. We are the children of Zimbabwe, of Tanzania, of Kenya. So we, especially myself, I coming into the understanding, or not coming into, brought into the understanding of healing, using vehicles of our ancestors, none from Arabia, none from Europe, none from China or Japan, from Africa, the center of life. So I find myself now responsible. I am responsible. You know how I felt when I left Zimbabwe? I took 130 treatments. 130 person was killed. No, 200 because they shared it. People that had long-standing maladies disappeared in a fortnight or less. So I'm now in New Orleans. New Orleans, I was told by ladies that came to visit me, beautiful ladies, yesterday, that they would like to help. You know, that was encouraging because we are amassing.
And it was an honor.
It was an honor for me to hear that coming from
It was
your
an
sister.
honor.
It was an honor.
And that's how I would see that, as an honor.
It's an honor. I agree. There again, though, I'm very extremely careful. I'm glad that my mother's alive because many times when a brother finds himself in a position of giving, you know, he tends to abuse the community because they entrust their love in him. No, that's when you lose. I am aware that I bring a gift that could reverse the trend of disease. But I'm also more aware that in that giving, if that giving is not done in a humble way,
Which
and
is
the
a
carrier
healing.
of that message is not humble, it means absolutely
Which is a
nothing.
healing too, because